welcome back to Shelf Talks, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of female founders bringing their product-based businesses to retail shelves. I'm your host, Roberta, and today I'm sitting down with two powerhouse women in the clean beauty space, Sarah McNamara and Rochelle Jacobs, the dynamic co-founders of Naturally Serious Skincare. These two industry veterans joined forces to build a brand that's not just clean and clinically tested, but seriously effective, without compromising on sustainability or transparency. They are building a brand that's good for your skin as well as good for the planet. Welcome, you both.
Thank you for having us, Roberta.
Thank you so much. That was a great intro. Loved it. Really appreciate it. Quite a great story. So I'll let you kick it off.
Go for it, Roberta.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in. So can you first kind of take us back and talk about what were you both doing prior to even starting the brand?
Sure. Well, my background is kind of interesting. I've always been in the beauty industry. I always had a passion for it. When I was a young girl, I used to go to department stores with my mother, and I was always just loved to see all of the beautiful products on the shelves. And I'm from New Zealand. I grew up there, and I would always go into town with her and go to like a Bergdorf Goodman and just marvel at these beautiful counters. So when I was going through college, I worked behind the counter actually in retail. And in those days, Elizabeth Arden was the number one brand globally and international. So I got a job selling and just loved it. And then I was lucky enough to apply for a job at Unilever, which they owned a luxury premium collection of brands from Elizabeth Arden, Calvin Klein, Valentino Lagerfeld in those days. So I started as a marketing associate, and then I ended up staying at Unilever for 10 years and working across the international businesses in Asia and really taking a various amount of jobs from, regional oversight of Asia Pacific, and then a marketing interfacing job where you focus on developing products exclusively for different regions. So it was a fantastic career and I loved it. And then I spent some time living in Asia. I worked at Goldman Sachs for a few years. Then I went to L'Oreal and had a couple of roles there at Lancôme. And then I started my own brand for a while and sold it. And then I met Peter and Rochelle's mother, who basically own the business that I work in at the moment. And this is the sister brand of PTR. And so it's been amazing. I've been here for a few years and it's been so exciting with Rochelle and her mother. We launched Naturally Serious and it's been fantastic. So my sort of career has been launching products and, really what I would say a marketer within the beauty industry. And so it's been amazing to see the journey.
Yeah, my story is much less exciting than Sarah's journey. Mine's a little bit more of a grassroots kind of the way I birthed into it. And I say birthed into it because I literally was born into it. My mother has been a skincare guru for as long as I could remember. My family's from Iran. So my grandmother wasn't going to department stores. She was making all of her own products. And I just thought everyone did that because there was no Sephora to go back to, to go to back in those days. And she used Pond's and mixed it with all of her other stuff. So she was using Pond's and mixing it. It was crazy. But I had that smell in my head of the Pond's cold cream. But my mother quickly spent decades working with different plastic surgeons and dermatologists and all of their skin concerns that their patients were having. And then during that time, she started 2 other skincare brands for dermatologists. And then Peter joined forces together in 1993. And I joined the family business in 1999, coming from a finance background. I had a Wall Street and corporate finance background, very different time in my life. And when I joined in 1999, in our first week, basically, my mother said to me, "We're opening our own lab. We need to have control of our innovation and of our inventory, and you're going to figure it out." Which is what I did. So I spent the next few years understanding our manufacturing side of things while the Peter Thomas Roth brand was growing. And then we launched the June Jacobs collection. And that is really where my mother kind of was very innovative in her thinking, in the sense that she was looking for very clean products before that was the word people were using. So she was looking for natural products. And the June Jacobs collection was one of the first brands that was a natural brand. We had this manufacturing facility that was in research and development, which was so key to our brand success because we were so small. And at the time, no one really wanted to work with us or help us. And innovation is everything. And that's kind of how we ended up there. So then, in 2018, Sarah and I really kind of pushed the envelope here and asked for permission to create something that was near and dear to our hearts, which was a not overly complicated line with this, smaller SKU selection that would really be great for someone entering the beauty market or the skincare market for the first time, overwhelmed by all the choices and all the brands out there, but actually believed that clean beauty was good for you. Because I know back when we launched it in 2018, there was like, oh, I love the idea of clean beauty, but they're not efficacious. And so we had to really overcome that with really having clinically clean products.
Yeah, right. And I think today, the definition of clean beauty is completely different. This brand has basically evolved with it, meaning obviously now clean beauty is a norm. Every brand is clean, and
Right.
thank God. So it's sort of the great news about Naturally Serious is it has a patented blend. So it's not just that it's clean, it's clinically tested to be very efficacious. It was just clean beauty, everybody should. That's the gold standard. So we really feel great about as Rochelle said, the incredible simplicity in the product line where there is something easy for everyone. It's not meant to be complicated, but it really delivers on results. So that's really the next level. And the formulas are very, as I said, beautiful to use, like high concentrations of clinical actives, but also naturally based. So we use a lot of all plant-based ingredients, which is beautiful.
When you were creating the brand, did you have a initial strategy of it being clinically tested and having that patented blend?
Absolutely, yes.
So the idea was when we came up with it, there was either clean or clinical. So right in 2018, there wasn't clean and clinical. It was a newer idea. So we were kind of the first clean and clinical brand out there. And our big point of difference is our patented blend, which is 6 antioxidants. It's red, white, and green tea, goji berry, pomegranate, and grape seed extract together in the perfect amount that's in every single product. And the only thing I can tell you is that from the way I describe it, based on how all the chemists explain to me why it's so potent, is it's kind of like a shield of armor when you put it into the product. So meaning it's kind of protecting you from all the environment. Those antioxidants are actually creating a barrier for you. And it's like almost sunscreen against pollution, right? So it's the version of protecting yourself from environmental factors. And the other benefit of this amazing blend is it really just boosts the efficacy of all the ingredients in there. So it makes them more effective and more active in a way that if you had all the ingredients that, let's say, are in this, but you didn't have our patented blend, it would be a little less efficacious.
It's really, really difficult to get any patent in skincare, almost next to impossible. So the fact that we have this in an antioxidant blend, and I think June, Rochelle's mother, she was really heavily involved in that patent, which is also in the June Jacobs lines.
It was really important for her to see something that we really believed in come to life. So that's how we got there.
How long did it take for you to actually get a patent on your ingredient blend?
I started working with my mother in 1999, and I believe we started working on the patent around 2005, and we got it around about 8 years.
8 years.
That's only one part of the formulations. It was in existence, and we took the patent and then we expanded upon it with Naturally Serious. So antioxidants are obviously in everything and so important in life. And I think what I was just saying, like in skincare, it's unique to get a patent in antioxidants. And I think it's been an amazing story. We launched in Sephora as we partnered with them early on. And we've had a long-standing, well, the family I have also individually had a long-standing relationship with Sephora, an incredible company on all levels, really the single largest beauty retailer in the world. Although that's lots of different channel analysis on beauty retailers now, because obviously Amazon is a leader in beauty across the US now in a major way. But Sephora really are a true beauty marketer in every level and sense of the world. So we're exclusive with them. And they've been great partners to us over the years in both brands. And, it's great to see. And I think forever now we're seeing unprecedented change in the beauty industry, just with the types of demographics that we're seeing, with the Gen Alpha really entering beauty and this explosion of young girls that are just so excited to enter the beauty space and 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds in Sephora shopping with their mothers or on their own, just loving all of those collectible items. And then the other major thing is we've seen a lot of just generally repricing of the beauty industry. What I mean by that is that the mass brands have done a lot of great marketing with ingredient stories that have really only been found in luxury and different ingredient sources now. So I think the consumer is really understanding that the price points of beauty, you don't necessarily have to, buy a $200 serum to get efficacious product at the lower price points.
Yeah, that was one of the actually
Yeah.
when we priced the line, it was really Sarah was very intentional, and you were actually way ahead of the curve on this because we when we priced this, premium luxury was still significantly premium, but it was really important for the products to be approachable and really have any generation not be turned off by the price. So it was really important. So, oils in general are probably the most, the natural oils that are in here. So this is one of the most expensive products at $42. But we have products at $26, $14. They're much more approachable than a lot of other luxury brands out there.
So when you launched your brand initially, did you launch online or your initial launch on Sephora.com?
Sephora.com, and we got really lucky and COVID hit.
That was a great time then for online.
Yeah, it was, but it was really hard for a new brand to be able to actually, it was hard.
Stand
It was
out.
really hard.
So how many products did you guys actually launch with?
We launched with 6 initially.
And then we went to 11
And then
pretty
we
quickly.
expanded over time. Obviously, innovation is an ongoing process in the beauty industry.
Yeah. How did you know when you were ready to add additional SKUs past the initial 6?
Well, I think the cadence of the calendar, basically, it just happened organically through the years. We would launch maybe 2 innovations a year. Obviously, we work with Sephora on launch cadences. I think as everything comes, the full line has done a full 360. This is the vitamin C serum is our latest innovation. So keeping the line fresh is constant. I think in the industry, 30% of brand growth comes from innovation ongoing. So it's important to always have that pipeline.
Yeah. You mentioned how you launched at the same time as COVID.
Well, right before, it didn't really give us too much time to get our feet to it. It was like we did a soft launch 2019. It was very slow, and then right when we were about to
ramp up,
things changed rather dramatically, rather quickly.
But we've still done fine. I think we're overall we're really happy. We know from our reviews that the consumers love it. Obviously, there's a proliferation of choice out there in the market, and it's always important to disrupt with whatever we do. And I think remaining consistent and delivering a strong message to consumers is really important for us.
Yeah. So with that initial launch, did you guys have a marketing plan as well with launching? And if so, what did that look like?
Yes, we did. We had a lot of different events, influencer press events, really delivering the message out to all, stakeholders in the industry from press, media. We did a lot of appearances ourselves. We did a lot of press.
We did a lot of podcasts.
So had a marketing plan with Sephora, regarding co-op advertising, digital support, social media, all of the elements that go forward into.
We partnered with some of the places that we had the events at in a fun way. Also, like the launch event was at Bandier. So that was our actual launch party was at Bandier in their brand new store, and it was so much fun. And then we did an event at a yoga studio, an educational event. Like we try to find
lots of events,
lots of things that were tied into what we love and what we do outside of skincare. So, we wanted to bring in the workout clothes or the athleisure, and we wanted to bring in the yoga studios and education and giving people a chance to try the products and ask questions. So we did a lot of things like that, a lot of, really grassroots type things. Like we were in different charities, giving out the products wherever we can. And one of the partnerships that we were able to actually start that was in the works before COVID, but things changed obviously when COVID hit was we partnered with Northwell Health, which is the largest, I think, in the hospitals across the Northeast. And I don't have their exact count right now, but we started with Lenox Hill Hospital, which is like kind of the premier hospital in New York City. And we worked really tightly with them to create a program for all inpatients to try all the products along with some of their toothpaste, toothbrush, and everything else. But we were able to create products for them to have in the rooms, really, as we did it for two different reasons. Obviously, we just wanted to help elevate the patient experience however we could, because everyone's treated equally there. So whatever you're in there for, you're getting that. The maternity, I think the maternity wing, which is always treated a little bit nicer than everybody else because they're there for two in there. We had the most amazing results and feedback from them because they really love the opportunity to use all the products. And we've evolved that program over the last 5 years or so based on patient feedback. So we would change some of the products up and just really to get the brand name out there, get the awareness out there, and do better by helping somebody else.
Yeah, that's a great avenue. I think something that a lot of people don't think about in regards to really finding consumers in different spaces to really learn about your brand and, make them feel special too. And in cases like hospitals.
Having that medical aspect really builds trust, with consumers seeing that in authority. So that's been a great program. So we've done a lot of different programs. The Beverly Hills Hotel sell they have our sunscreens at the pool, and we do an exclusive cabana kit for them. And we've had a big, massive launch there with our sort of LA influencers.
And then we also did it for Hotel du Cap in the south of France. We did that for their cabanas as well for the last 2 summers. I think this will be our third summer where we'll be in the cabanas there. So things are a little different than what you might see traditionally.
Yeah, those are great. I think that's just great for people to hear. Just like you don't have to go the traditional route. Think about like innovative and different ways that you can, get to your consumer and be able to show your brand.
And especially to help support the traditional route. So it's like, it's one thing to get it in the traditional store. You can't have a better partner out there than Sephora.
Right.
But we have to help support them outside of just their store. So that's kind of what some of the ideas behind it were.
Yeah. What was early customer feedback? What were they saying about the products?
Well, we can see all the reviews online. I think they were, surprised and delighted by the formulas.
The price point, they couldn't believe the Lux, the way how Lux the products felt for the prices they were paying. I think it depends on what product you want to talk about, but because we don't get like brand reviews, it's always specific product reviews that we're seeing. And the products that people like, especially like the cold press peel pads get so many reviews, and then we can also help us innovate based on some of their comments of what else we can do better or more of, and helps us with our innovation across the board.
Yeah, so just some changes based on what customer feedback was.
Mainly in packaging.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Packaging. I was going to say we had early on, we had a lot more silver in here, and we didn't like environmentally. We thought it wasn't the right direction, so we were able to replace that with the glass and do some other more vibrant colors instead of silver.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with any brand and any marketer will tell you that, working with any brands from a regulatory base, even the packaging requirements have changed so dramatically in our industry, which is so great because obviously all of this packaging in some form can be a pollutant. So having things in glass is fantastic, and having recyclable. So wherever we can, we've done that.
And all products that are boxed, all of the paper that is used is actually powered by windmill technology. So like the little things that we can do that consumers may never know about, but that makes us sleep better at night.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Manifesting that they find out about some of these, but the little things behind the scenes that we do to really help improve it across the board on the clean side and the sustainable side, and pipe dreams throughout there.
A full, clean environment from product to packaging to all the components. So I did have a question. I do ask on Instagram, just, any questions from other founders that are starting their skincare brand and wanted to understand the process in which to navigate to be successful. And one of the questions was, what were the strongest methods that helped you grow in the first year of business? And what were the biggest challenges and wins?
It's really important to understand what your strategy is. Is it a D2C? Are you launching exclusively with the retail? Obviously, the most important thing is if you're going into any retail stores, that you have the right partnership, the right positioning. That's why we wanted to stay online. You have to really understand the scale of the business. And because I think for us, there's a lot you can invest and not get a return on. And so we've seen that with a lot of new brands come out where they're funded aggressively by private equity and you may not see a return. So I think we have approached this that we have put a launch plan in that, or an ongoing launch strategy is that we're building brand awareness, but we're not in a sinking ship. So you can spend a lot of money and get no return. So it's for us, we try different things and we see what scale that brings to us. So I would say is, to seed products to new founders and really understand the product and the strategy and where you're going after the customer.
But Roberta, what you said, one of the questions, I don't remember the exact wording, but the answer to it is everything Sarah said. However, don't have such a rigid outline that you're not able to pivot because you're going to have tariffs in China that you didn't have in your outline. You've got to be prepared, whatever the challenge is, to let go of your outline and just take a detour while you figure it out and then realign and be flexible with what you're working on. Because if you're too rigid with what you believe has to be the order, whether it's your own life story, I have to graduate college, I have to be married by this age, I have to have a kid by this age. It's the same thing in the business. Like it doesn't always work out the way you wanted it to. So you've got to be able to pivot and really work around that and understand that there are always other options that you have to figure out.
Yeah. What was the biggest win for Naturally Serious during that first year?
I think the partnership with Sephora.
That was by far, we created this in the kitchen, which is such a big term in the Sephora world. And I think from our point of view, that was the difference between launching and not launching, because we really wanted someone else to believe in what we believed in.
Did you pitch to Sephora?
Yeah.
And what were the major things that you felt got them to say yes?
I think for all founders, if you're talking to a founder, I think passion. And when we first talked about the products, I think if we were to look at the iteration of our first lab samples, products, names, colors, everything else, versus what we have in the line today, they're black and white. The only thing that's consistent in there is the gook being clean. Everything else has evolved from our first meeting to what we have today. So it's been a while, but it's also, you've got to be able to evolve. You've got to be able to take that feedback and put it into action. And Sarah, just names that she came up with for the products that literally were all her. So something that differentiates us, and the names make sense. Like this fruit talks. It's like it's literally. It's fruit in here. That's actually what it is. And it's fertility facial remedy. Like it's just the wording. I just love the way she did that. The marketer could do something like that.
And then that's what I was going to say. That's that marketing background.
It's our moisture rescue cream, which is really
my favorite.
This is the day cream that we use, and we call it Skin Warrior is the name of the cream. But this is really, it's an amazing barrier cream in every sense of the word, really look at taking care of your microbiome. So we love Skin Warrior. I always love that.
So when we created that product, that was actually as far as the naming goes, at the time when I had just finished battling breast cancer a couple of years earlier, and we were all about being warriors, right? As women, as entrepreneurs, as, just life. And then when Sarah came up with Skin Warrior, I almost cried. I think I probably did.
But anyway, it's a great, great cream. So lots of fun with the naming, and even our eye cream is called Zero Baggage. It's just a playful spin on looking after that delicate under eye area.
Our lip cream is called Lip Service. That's fun. And they tell a story. So there's consistency between the kitschy and the clinical.
Yeah. So what does that process look like in regards to determining what names you want to have for your product SKUs?
We're very collaborative. Yeah. We have a great team here, and we obviously sit around as a group, and we're so lucky we have our in-house R&D and chemists. The owners own their own manufacturing facility, and the story is amazing with Rochelle's mother and Peter Thomas Roth. They own the business outright. The quality of the formulas is second to none because we don't have sort of any pressure to re-engineer costs from private equity people or investors. So we're very much in control of what we deliver to the consumer. So I love that part of it. So we try to control our own supply chain.
But I want to say it's not quite as, I want to go back to the names, because when you think about it, if you're entrepreneurs who are listening to this and starting up, we actually had spreadsheets, and each product name had a different tab, like cleanser, serum, moisturizer. And then underneath that were 40, 50 different name ideas. And we pulled, so Skin Warrior was probably, didn't start off with Skin Warrior. It might have been something else Warrior.
Well, yeah, it's working on copy we eliminate, but then we narrow down to what we think in terms of writing the packaging copy, and
then you have to Google and make sure it's not already, you'd be amazed by how many great names that already exist that nobody knows about.
And trademarks and everything else, global trademarks. It's definitely a lot of work, not for the faint-hearted.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
You can't just say, okay, I've got a skincare product, I'm going to create a website, I'm going to pitch it to a retailer. It takes every single detail, from the fonts to the colors to the gook to the components to the legal aspect of it. Every part of it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So the exclusivity you mentioned with Sephora.com, was that something that they brought to the table? And what allowed you to feel comfortable with having them as your sole retailer?
Well, I think once a brand gets to scale with any retailer, then you decide, but we haven't had to have that pressure. I think Sephora's model is that they want to, beauty is proliferated, but they want to bring their consumers into their stores for a unique selling proposition. Right. So that's their model. And I think, sure, if you're Clinique, you have global brand dominance and awareness. So you can be in multiple retailers because your share of voice is so much wider. But for us, as we incubate the brand through time, we wanted to remain in that position for now. But that's not to say we'll be exclusive forever.
After a certain amount of time, they understand we need to grow also.
Yeah. What if you found the best ways to drive those sales on their website?
User-generated content would be what my really
absolutely good answer.
Authenticity, and really people engaging, like normal people and influencers, but really the authentic person giving their reviews.
And we drive all our traffic there to their website. So I think also P pages are becoming more and more critical. The way a consumer thinks, what they're seeing, you have to really communicate the message, very quickly in a dynamic way. And Sephora is a great digital partner because they're constantly analyzing with data and giving us feedback, and ever evolving. It never stays still. There's always a new way to approach something, and having interactive, P pages is critical.
Yeah. Education is really, education is really, today's consumer has the access and the ability to really do some due diligence before they spend their dollar, right? So you've got to make sure that you get every question that a consumer can have is answerable.
Yeah. And you guys have so many differentiators. I feel like in your assortment, there's so much to educate them on, to kind of give awareness of the value that they're getting within your product line. So what is next for Naturally Serious?
Well, I think this year, we continue on our growth plan, but obviously we're all faced with a big current interruption in business, and we now have to move through and navigate the tariff issues. So we're really staying the course, and we're just right now figuring out what that means to the whole industry.
So not so much even just about our products, because
everything is made in the US.
So it's not about our products specifically, but it's about the industry as a whole, which is going to have severe impacts. Actually, every industry. So I shouldn't even say that. So apparel is just every industry across the board in the United States is going to feel this. So until there's some resolution and understanding of what's actually happening, we have to be prepared to pivot all different ways.
Yeah.
The uncertainty, that was the word I was trying to think. The uncertainty is very scary. Uncertainty is very scary.
Right.
And you have it every day as an entrepreneur when you wake up in the morning, because there's always uncertainty there. But I feel like right now it's the whole nation is really waking up with that same uncertainty, because we just don't know exactly what we need to be doing next. So we've got a plan A, B, and C, and I'm sure it'll be D.
Yeah.
But, really trying to be ready for whatever comes our way.
Yeah. Just mentioning that, like as a brand owner, do you kind of start to write down all of the different scenarios in which you pivot? Do you wait to understand what the real final word is going to be?
It's important to be offensive, not defensive. So we're looking at all of even if you're buying from a US vendor, they may be importing their or the products. It's on so many different levels. Although we manufacture everything in the US, we are reliant on multiple countries that are now tariffed. So that impacts our P&L. It definitely takes a moment, like, what are our choices? If there's 145% tariff in China, we buy this cap there for various reasons, which is most likely we buy it there because there is no other better option. And the US supply chain is good, but it needs to catch up in terms of speed to market. There's a lot of factors that play into it. So that's something that I think every business owner is going to be looking at seriously. We're passionate about this brand. Anybody that touches it and uses it
loves it.
Yes.
That's the part that's most exciting. We can't afford to get a Taylor Swift to use our products, right? So we really depend on word of mouth.
Yeah.
And that's really been for us important to us. So I was talking to somebody who bought a hair dryer, and she bought a hair dryer because her girlfriend who had like 150 followers, posted about this hair dryer that she just got that she loved. And so the girl bought the hair dryer, and then she posted about it, and then her friend, it just kind of went down. And that's kind of how our products have evolved as well. So when we talk about user generated, it's that authenticity of people who actually use the products, and however we can support that with mini influencers or influencers along the way, that always helps with awareness too. But it's really, once we get the products into your hands, we know you love them.
You're going to love them. So with that, how can our listeners follow you, support, and most importantly, buy Naturally Serious products?
Sephora.com. Follow us on Instagram at Naturally Serious Skin. Sephora.com. We would love the...
Absolutely. Check it out. Look at our reviews. Look at the P pages. We just would love anybody to try it. We would be so excited.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your story and coming on Shelf Talks.
Thank you
so much, Roberta.
Yeah.